Oh, it's you again. You're probably wondering why I've got this clipboard with me. Well, today on Hofstra Discovered, we're going to be talking about the mysterious statue behind Hofstra Hall on Calkins Quad, who seems to be writing something very important. The statue has been here for over 40 years at this point, but few people seem to know anything about it. Its name and its creator are a mystery, and there is no plaque near it to give any detail about it. We went in search of answers to this mystery.
In fact, I didn't even know what his name was to begin with.
I think it's very peaceful, and it's like a nice sentiment to whoever this man is and what he's doing, which is, I think, writing on a notepad.
I see it around all the time, but I never have thought about the name of it. I don't know the name of it.
Is it Newton?
Everybody knows the statue, but no one knows the details, and there's no plaque in sight. Who is this guy?
I'm a Pride guide on campus, and I can tell you that his name is Walter.
His name is Walter? That's interesting. The students don't know much. Maybe the Art Museum might have some answers about this statue. So let's talk to Karen Albert, the director of the Hofstra University Museum of Art.
So it's by the sculptor J. Seward Johnson, and it's called Creating. A sculpture that's very much a narrative sculpture. It's a realistic sculpture. Johnson is known for creating these types of works that are very hyper-realistic and placed in a kind of setting where they might be. As far as the name Walter, or why he's called Walter, I don't really know. I had only heard about that from some students 5 or 6 years ago. Somebody had asked me about it, and I didn't know they called him Walter. There's no reference that I know of. Yeah. The sculptor's intention is to kind of fool you into thinking it's a real person, right? So there's the way he's seated against the tree. He's not looking up at you, he's kind of looking down at what he's doing. But I think that the idea that he is kind of in a studious kind of mode. He's working on something, he's intent on what he's working on.
Are there any other works from this artist on campus?
We have another one called The Hitchhiker, which is located on North Campus, across from the University Club. So as you're leaving North Campus, it's on your right-hand side. He was a painter before he was a sculptor. He's very much, a lot of his work is based on, observing people and seeing how people react. He's also done some works that were kind of takeoffs of paintings, making them into three-dimensional imagery. So he definitely has, influence from other artists for sure.
Well, I guess that's most of our questions. All except one. What was he writing?
Conspiracy theory that I think Walter's coming up with is that birds aren't real.
Probably figuring out the next way to destroy the entire world. Looks like a smart dude. Could probably figure out a way to, blow up the earth, destroy the atmosphere.
If anybody's interested in this sculptor's work, there's actually a large exhibition of his work at Old Westbury Gardens right now. So there's a number of his pieces there.
Who would have thought that the identity of the statue is no one significant at all? Very interesting. Joining us now is Hannah Callista, an employee at the Hofstra University Museum of Art, who is here to talk to us more about our friend Walter and the museum. Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
So, what made you decide to work in the museum?
It was an open job on campus, and I really love art despite it not being my major, so I decided to take it.
Okay, what do you love about art?
I just love how you have the freedom to do whatever you want, and you don't really value opinions but your own, and you just make what you want to.
Now, I want to go to the statue, and do you have any personal opinions about the way it was created and structured?
I do like how it blends in. That's probably my favorite, is that you don't see it unless you do see it.
What do you mean by that?
It's just you're walking and you can honestly not notice it, and then some days you can look down and you're like, oh, there's a man.
Right, and the name is Walter, correct?
No.
Not Walter.
So that's the name that everyone gives on campus, but there's actually no name.
Really?
Yes.
So who came up with Walter? Is that the Walt Disney thing maybe? Or?
I have no idea, just like the community of the school.
Really? Okay, so if you had to pick a name, what would that be?
I guess Walter would probably be like a cool name. It's like he's an old guy, so an older name would sound kind of fun.
Okay, so Walter is just automatically an old person,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, interesting. Now, about the statue, do you have any theories about what he is actually writing? Because there is something there, and he looks very interested and very focused. So it has to be something interesting, right? Something great.
Yeah. I would think maybe he's like writing about the students as they pass by. I mean, he's right there where the main attraction is. They could be observing and just writing down just anything they see, whether it's like people conversating or people having a bad day, just journaling it down and kind of taking account to how day-to-day life at Hofstra is.
Like a philosopher.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And do you think there's anything specific he's focusing on maybe?
Maybe just like the behavioral of it all. Like I said, there's people that are just having fun. There's people walking to class with dread or excitement. Just the different emotions that we all invoke every day. It's just kind of cool to note down.
Right. And do you think that the identity of the statue matters at all?
I think it does. I mean, having Walter is kind of just like, that's him. It kind of brings it in. There's so many statues on campus that no one really knows about. So knowing Walter and identifying him really does show that he's a person on campus, honestly.
And there's a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
So you must have a favorite.
My favorite is Skatergate. It's in front of Hofstra.
Skatergate. Mm-hmm. So do you want to explain a little bit about that?
So we had Drawing Matters, which was an art exhibit last semester, and it showed the step process of how that creator made Skatergate, and it just like was really cool how this 3 pieces of metal was welded together to create a bending of light, which is cool.
Yeah, and I heard off the air that you told me you work at the museum. That's also cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So the museum is kind of quiet. It's really cool. I get to have one-on-one time with the art whenever I'm done with work, and I can just like see every day a different thing that I didn't notice about the paintings or about the art, and sort of peeling it layer by layer.
So when you say peeling it layer by layer, how do you break it down in your head, all the different forms of art?
So, I mean, for right now we have photography, so I can see it and just be like, yeah, that's a picture. But then day by day I'd be like, why is there the subject of that picture? Why is there background? Why is there that lighting? And just sort of asking myself these questions and kind of breaking it down to see what the real reason for that picture was.
It's like you're thinking the way Walter would
Yeah.
when looking at the kids, right? Mm-hmm. Very philosophical. I think that's very interesting. And I thought personally that he might be writing a novel.
Yeah.
Maybe. What kind of novel do you think he would write?
Probably romance.
Why that? Why romance?
I don't know. I feel like a romance novel is something anyone should write.
Well, why should anyone write it?
Romance is just like all over the place, and it's like a spectrum, and you can just create whatever you want with it.
What do you mean by create anything you want with it? Because there's so many forms
There's,
of
like,
romance. You
tropes.
have Romeo and Juliet. I mean, the ending, not to spoil it for anyone, is not too happy. But it's still
that's
romance.
What I'm saying. You can write some that have a love story that is a happy ending or a sad ending or just anything in between, and just have the main focus be 2 people.
Right. And is there anything about the museum or just the statue in general that you feel like we have to know?
The museum does really talk about a lot of the statues and a lot of the art. We have over 10,000 art pieces just below your feet.
10,000?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. We are a small building, but there's a
Wow.
lot downstairs.
Downstairs?
In the basement. We keep everything down there.
The basement of the museum?
Yes.
I did not know there was one. I actually never stepped foot into the
Not
museum.
a lot of people do, but it is quite a joy if you do walk in there.
I feel like I have to now. It's
Yeah.
just, it's just, there's so many things that you've discussed. I mean, 10,000, I mean, I was thinking maybe 100,
No.
maybe 50 different pieces of art, but what kind of artwork is it? Is it more statues? Is it paintings?
Yeah, it's from statues to artifacts to photographs to paintings on a wall. It just varies different, like all the mediums.
Do you have a favorite?
I like this one. It was degraded photographs from Hurricane Sandy, but they were
Degraded
photographs of 9/11. So they were
Wow.
2 big, like, monumental events into one photograph.
Right.
So it was kind of cool.
Wow. Well, I think everything you mapped out for us is fantastic. So thank you so much for joining us, Hannah. And thank you for watching this episode of Hofstra Discovered. To learn more about Hofstra, stay tuned for our next episode.